Welcome to Collaboration to Succeed with Billy Albans. Billy Albans is currently the Vice President for Global Marketing, and he's been with Medtronic for over 20 years. And his experience, it ranges from product portfolio management, product launch excellence, and customer development. You guys are in for a treat. Billy was the Senior Director of Marketing, where he led Medtronic's spine and biologics portfolio for the country. So let's welcome Billy.
Yeah, my name's Billy Albans. I work here at Medtronic. I'm a Vice President of our Global Marketing Division, and here in this division of Medtronic, we're responsible for spine surgeries. So we represent all the spine hardware, the biologics that go into those surgeries. I've been here for 22 years now. I'm a Memphis native, went to Houston High School, went to Mississippi State, got my MBA from Union University, and got to come back home to Memphis and work with a great company for over 2 decades now at Medtronic.
You know, collaboration doesn't happen without communication. Communication and follow-up. Communication and follow-up is very important because without it, success becomes more challenging and difficult. Billy will share with us an example of just how important collaboration is. Let's listen.
There are a number of essential skills needed to collaborate. I would start first with communication is the most important thing. You have to make sure you're communicating effectively and routinely. You have to keep the communication up when you're collaborating. The other thing I like to do is not refer to I or me, but talk about we and us, what we are doing as a team. And part of that too, as you talk about we and what are we doing, it really gets to your mission. Right? What is the mission? What are the objectives that we're trying to do as a team? It's so important that everyone you're collaborating with understands the objectives and then understands their role in obtaining those objectives. Another important skill for collaborating is your ability to listen. Everyone wants to talk and share their opinions, but you have to understand the perspective of others. Make sure you understand where they're coming from, what obstacles they may have in their way. So you really need to listen and take the time to understand the perspectives of others. And then I think identifying the top barriers. Once you have identified your mission, your objective, what we're trying to do as a team, what's in the way, right? What are the things that are going to keep us from achieving our goal? And then really working as a team to develop strategies around each of those barriers. So I'll give you one example, and I'll take it away from work. We'll go right to sports. There's 11 people on the football field in a football game. And, the quarterbacks, the receivers, they get all the glory when they get the touchdowns. But it's not just those two individuals. It's not about the quarterback and that receiver that made the catch. Everybody on that team has a role, and if anyone doesn't carry their weight, then you may not get that touchdown. So it's really important that the other receivers know that they need to run their routes the right way, that the linemen know that we need to run our blocks and our blocking assignments a certain way. All those things come together to achieve the ultimate goal, which is that touchdown.
Effective collaboration is planned. It doesn't just happen. As a leader, having a desired outcome, sharing expectations, and creating a contingency are all things that are needed to bring success to your objectives. Let's hear how Medtronic executes effective collaboration.
So from a marketing standpoint, when we're talking about the benefits of our product, there's a lot of work that has to happen before we even get to that point. We really need to understand our audience. We really need to understand what those user needs are. So you can't just have a product and be a hammer looking for a nail, right? We need to go develop the nail first. And that nail gets developed more from listening to your customers, to going to where those customers are, seeing them in action. For us, it's going to the OR. In the operating room and seeing surgeons, seeing what their struggles are, making sure we're talking to them, understanding what those things are that's holding them back, what those pain points are, where those areas for improvement are. Once you have those areas of improvement, then you can go design a product or bring a product and or service to the market. And so when you get to communicating your benefits of your product, you want to make sure you understand those pain points and what life was like without this product and how life will be better with this product. And clearly communicating the value of that product to your customers. If you can go through that process right there, you're going to bring a product to market, and then you're going to be able to clearly communicate and connect with your customers and deliver something of value that will be very marketable. So I gave you the example of a football team and working together to achieve that ultimate goal of a touchdown. I want to talk to you more of what we do here at Medtronic, right, and what we're trying to do with our mission and our objective. And really it gets into the operating room, right? There's a lot of people that come together on this team. We have surgeons, we have scrub techs, we have nurses, we have anesthesiologists, we have our industry representatives that are helping to make sure the right instruments are in the right place at the right time, that they're used the right way. But that would be my biggest example of where all these things come together, and an effective collaboration here gets us to the ultimate goal. Everyone goes into that operating room to help this patient get better. And everyone is focused on that mission. They need to understand their part. And so as you go into that, everyone from the anesthesiologist to the surgeon to the scrub tech to even our industry representative, making sure that the right instruments are passed at the right time, that they're used in a proper way, and that they understand the sequence of events on what's going to go next and how to effectively get through that surgery and get that desired outcome for the patient. So what happens when you've listened effectively, you've communicated effectively, and you still are running into barriers? And I'll give you the example of that operating room when things don't go well in the operating room. And things will happen, right? Contingencies need to be in mind at all times. You will have mishaps, and you need to be able to pivot and adjust to those barriers as they come up. But when things happen that aren't supposed to happen, it gets chaotic and things can start falling apart and blame can start being tossed around from the team. In my mind, you have to anticipate those things. And a lot of our surgeons, a lot of the operating staff that we work with, including our Medtronic representatives, they're anticipating those things. And that contingency planning is a big piece of it to make sure when things don't go right, that you have a contingency in place. Some of the other things that can go wrong when you're not effectively collaborating, even if you've done everything you can, you've communicated enough, you're meeting with the team, you're walking through the barriers and the strategies to tackle each of those barriers, but something just goes wrong. Somebody doesn't pull their weight. And a lot of times you can go back and almost put your finger on one thing that forces that to happen, and it's usually because people don't understand what their role was or the importance of their role towards that entire team and that team goal. Think of the football example that I provided. If somebody said, you know, my route's not important because they're not going to throw it to me, so I'm not going to effectively run my route. They've let the team down because then the coverage for that person can go cover the person that was going to receive the ball. And so everyone has a role. It's really important they understand the role and understand the importance of their role on that team. And a lot of times that's what we see is when things don't go as planned, it's because somebody didn't pull their weight. But the reason they didn't pull their weight is they may not have understood the importance of their role on that team.
How do you collaborate with your external customers or partners as a leader when objectives and culture is different? How do you do that? It's not easy, right? So listen to Billy as he shares with us some factors that you must consider when collaborating or partnering externally.
When you're collaborating outside your company, you're going to be working with folks that may not be as intimately involved as the team internally. And I'll give you examples from a Medtronic perspective. We work with a number of folks that are outside the company. The FDA is a huge partner for us and one that we have to work with to bring our products to market. We have to work with surgeons and make sure that we are aligned with their needs that they have as well. We also work with third-party suppliers. And we all know with COVID and the way things have been with supply chain, that is a huge bottleneck and something we have to consider. So as we're working through our mission or our objective for a certain product, we got to think through, you know, what these key players, these outside collaborators, what their role is in achieving that goal. And they can either help you or they can hurt you with that. And one of the things we found, the best way to get collaboration outside is to make sure they understand that we can find a common ground that we're all trying to achieve. So I'll give you the example of the FDA or even the suppliers or the surgeons. If we can find alignment that we're all trying to help treat a certain patient population and everyone understands the need of that and understands their importance of their role, then they're going to get more involved. The FDA is more involved in trying to help solve the problem and find solutions to the problem. We have supply chain who are now understand when they have competing priorities where this one should fall and the importance to their customer with Medtronic, and as well as with surgeons, that we're aligned with them and that we also understand their needs and find that aligned, that common goal. I think that's the key thing, is that we can find a common goal that everyone can agree to and that we can clearly communicate that and keep that front and center. I think that's one of the best ways you can get more collaboration externally, is making sure everyone is aligned with that goal. Let's talk about buy-in. How do we get people to buy into the mission, to the objective, to what we're trying to do? In a lot of aspects on the Medtronic side of the business, we have marketing folks and engineers and R&D. It doesn't take much because they're close to the customer. They can see it and they know exactly the impact they have on a patient. But there's others that may not be as close to the customer. We work with lawyers, we have regulatory folks, we have quality folks, and they may not get to see that end result. So how can you get buy-in? Take them to the objective. Take them to what the mission looks like. I'll go back to the football analogy. We're trying to score a touchdown. And can we get buy-in to that? Everybody wants a piece of that end goal and understand what that end goal is. Now I'll bring it back to Medtronic. What can we do to get buy-in? So we're taking a group of people who may not understand surgery, the impact on their patient. We need to bring that to them, or we need to take them to the patient. And so we do things where we bring people to surgery that may not normally go to surgery, or we introduce the patient to them. One of the most impactful things we do here at Medtronic is we change people's lives. We make it better for them. And if we can bring that forward to everyone and they can see the end result, they can see that touchdown, then you start getting an emotional attachment to it, and you're willing to do anything to make that mission possible. It really comes back to making sure you understand the mission, making sure it's clear, but then making sure they can feel it. And I think being able to feel that mission and understand what that end goal is, that is completely important to getting buy-in, and buy-in is going to be the key that unlocks everything from a collaboration standpoint.
I'm sure we all can agree that your personal brand does impact how you collaborate, both internally and externally. Billy is going to share with us just how important it is that you keep and maintain your personal brand internally as well as externally.
So let's talk about your personal brand. What is the importance of your personal brand as you go externally and you go outside the company? To me, credibility is one of the most important things that you have to have first, just to get people to listen. Why should they even listen to you? Are you even credible? Right? So that is something that you have to work on and you have to establish before you can even engage in collaboration. But you've got to think about your personal brand. So credibility is one piece of it. The other piece is trust. Do they trust you? And you have to, trust is earned, right? You have to build trust. You have to build that reputation. And there's a number of ways we can do it when we talk about our personal brand. A lot of us are online. We're on LinkedIn, or you have Instagram. You have social media networks and things like that. People are going to look. They're going to look and see who you are, what you represent, what you say, what you show, how you show up. And there's a lot you can do online just to help establish that credibility, that trust, and that reputation. The last thing that I think is really important for your personal brand is selflessness. Right? So it's not about me, right? It's about us. It's about your customer. It's about everyone on your team. And I think it's so important to be selfless in everything you do. If you're coming out and everything is about me and about I and about what I need and what I want and just, very self-centered, people are going to notice. And the more you can be selfless and be intentional and think about your customers, your audience, and be more self-serving. How you can serve others. I think that is so important for your personal brand. People want to work with people who want to help others, right? They don't want to work with people that are only in it to help themselves. And I'd leave you guys with this. I think that's one of the most important things you can do is be selfless and be servant. Be a servant leader and stay focused on that.